Welcome to this episode of Q&A with Liturgy Man. I'm Taylor Burton-Edwards, Liturgy Man, your Director of Worship Resources with Discipleship Ministries of the United Methodist Church. I am your apportionment dollars at work to help you strengthen worship and the understanding of worship where you are. Today's question comes to us from David Bolin, who writes here on the blog site, "Why is marriage not considered a sacrament in the UMC?" He goes on to say, "I understand that our tradition through the Church of England rejected it as a true sacrament, but it seems to me that Ephesians 5:31-32, along with church tradition, would support the belief that our Catholic and Orthodox brothers and sisters may have this one right." Thanks for your question, David. And thank you also for correctly identifying the source of why United Methodists would have a hard time making a change in our understanding of what the sacraments are in terms of the number of them and whether marriage fits into that category or not. It does indeed come from the Church of England. And let me also say, this is one of these places where we can see that our understanding of worship and ritual and liturgical theology is also informed by our doctrinal standards and our polity and how doctrine, polity, and ritual all interact with each other. So let me point back to those articles of religion from the Church of England that were essentially slightly edited and then adopted by Methodists on this side of the pond and became part of what we know as doctrinal standards. Let me talk about this from a doctrinal standard perspective then first. What Article 16 in the Articles of Religion establishes, and by the way, this is also the same language or similar language that's used in the Confession of Faith from the Evangelical United Brethren Church, is that sacraments have to be ordained of Christ, in the EUB language, ordained by Christ. That means that for something to qualify as a sacrament, Jesus himself had to have instituted it and actually called for it to be done or done it himself. We have no record anywhere in Scripture of Jesus conducting, much less instituting, marriages or Christian marriages. That simply doesn't exist anywhere in the Bible, and we don't find any evidence of that in early Christian tradition, an attestation that Jesus did it. We do, however, have clear attestation in the Scriptures of Jesus calling for his disciples to baptize, and he himself received baptism through John. We also have clear description both in the Gospels, the Synoptic Gospels, and in the letters of Paul, attestation to the beginning that Jesus himself instituted the Lord's Supper. So, baptism and communion both fit the standard that are established in the doctrinal standard, the very first words of the Article of Religion, Article 16, sacraments ordained of Christ. Now, perhaps we want to still think about adding marriage. Well, you have to change a little more language in the Article of Religion in order to do that, because the Article of Religion, as you note, identifies 5 other things that are not to be considered sacraments. And it doesn't just call them not true sacraments, but not sacraments. So that would have to be altered. And then further, the conditions that are given for why these things are not considered sacraments would have to be addressed as well. Because there are 2 reasons that are given for why marriage, in addition to the fact that Jesus did not institute it, would not be understood as a sacrament in the Church of England and therefore also by us. One of the reasons is that marriage is simply a state of life, as put in the article. That is, it is something into which persons may voluntarily enter. It is not something that all Christians are necessarily expected to experience or enter into. The second is that Jesus did not give us any kind of rite or ceremony that specifically is what this is. We have the example from Scripture of what baptism is. We know what that is. We have the example from the words of institution in the Synoptic Gospels, repeated also in Paul, of what the Lord's Supper is and what its shape is from Scripture, from Jesus himself. We don't have anything like that for marriage. So there would be a lot of alteration that would have to happen in Article 16 in order to add marriage as a sacrament. That alteration itself would be very difficult to achieve. And that's because of a polity issue. And that is that in the early 19th century, Methodists in America adopted a thing called restrictive rules to protect certain elements, including doctrinal standards of the church. So the articles of religion since the early 19th century have been under these restrictive rules. But the restrictive rules, in order to change the restrictive rules, the only way to alter that and therefore open up the articles for any revision is you have to get first a 2/3 vote of the General Conference and then a 3/4 vote of all of the members of all of the annual conferences all around the world, simply to open up the articles of religion in order to propose amendments. And then you'd have to have additional enabling legislation that would have to pass General Conference again in order to make those amendments actually have an effect in the life of the church. It's an extraordinarily high standard to meet, but Methodists understood that it was important that these basic standards of doctrine be so protected that you would need a high barrier in order to change them. So that's why United Methodists do not consider marriage to be a sacrament. There are doctrinal reasons, there are polity reasons. I hope this has been helpful. Remember, you can always contact me, worship@umcdiscipleship.org, through our UMC Worship Facebook group, or drop a line on this page like David Boland did, and perhaps your question or comment will become the basis of a future episode of Q&A with Liturgy Man. The peace of Christ be always with you.